Coming up on this week's edition of NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
It's that time of year again when the beef industry comes together for education, networking, business, and a little bit of family fun. We'll bring you coverage from CattleCon 24, the industry's largest annual event.
And now, NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
Hello and welcome to NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen. I'm Kevin Ochsner. Thanks for joining us as we bring you special coverage from CattleCon 24 in Orlando, Florida. Although the event kicks off tomorrow, it's not too late for you to join us. Walk-in registrations are accepted all the way through Friday, and you can even purchase a one-day pass if you just want to make a brief visit and check out the trade show. Joining me now to discuss some of the business that'll take place at CattleCon is Ethan Lane, NCBA's Vice President of Government Affairs. Ethan, thanks for joining us, and let's begin by just talking about what this week means in terms of helping you and your team chart the course in Washington, D.C.
Well, of course, first and foremost, this is a great opportunity for friends and cattle producers from around the country to come together and learn and exchange ideas. But for the policy team, this is where we really begin that grassroots policy process for the year. This is where the rubber meets the road. And all of these affiliates around the country, both state and breed affiliates, have been debating these policies, talking about what their producers want to see back home, and they're bringing those ideas here to Orlando to start that process for the year. There are even non-affiliated trade associations that are coming here with their number one priority being to influence our policy process. It just speaks to how influential and important it is for producers around the country to have their voices heard in this building this week.
You've been awful busy in Washington, D.C. I'm curious, what would you identify as some of the key wins for NCBA and the beef industry?
Well, in a Congress like we're in right now, in a White House that's a little less than terribly supportive of the cattle industry, sometimes what doesn't happen is as important as what does. But, we have seen some important wins in the last year. When we left this convention last year, we created a priority list that included making sure that the animal drug user fee reauthorization was completed so that we have those important tools in the tool chest for producers. That's never an easy task, but we were able to get that across the finish line. We've been able to get those important policy riders into different spending bills to make sure that we prevent ELD mandates for livestock haulers and prevent some of those abusive Endangered Species Act listings that we all know are kind of lurking on the horizon. We've kept the conversation productive as far as what cattle producers want from Washington and tried to keep at bay some of those regulatory efforts to change that business model at the behest of one administration or another. So in a year like this, we call that a win because it feels like we've taken some of that pressure off and we're looking towards the future, and that's always what we want to do.
Let's talk taxes for a minute. What are some things that you see on the horizon from a tax perspective that could impact all of us in the beef cattle industry?
Well, if you remember way back to 2017, the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, that increased that death tax limit far beyond where it was. It provided some real relief for producers across a range of issues. We've seen ripples since then as far as fighting off a tax on stepped up basis, things like that. Areas where our producers have stepped up time and again to educate their lawmakers. Well, those provisions are expiring next year. So we're back in it now, kind of making sure we know exactly what our producers need, how those planning and succession processes are taking place across the country, and what tools they might need that they don't have now. And we're starting that process with a survey that allows our producers to give us input into exactly what they need, what they're using, and what would be helpful to make a little bit more of here in the next year or two. So you can go to ncba.org, you can follow the link, and you can fill out that tax survey and make sure your voice is on the record. So when we go into that fight next year, we know what we're looking for and what we want.
Well, and given the average age of the producer and the amount of generational transition that's going to occur, that's so critical right now. So we appreciate your leadership on this. Of course, it's a presidential year. What should we be looking for in that regard?
Duck and cover. There's just nowhere to hide from the presidential election in the next few months. I think we've already seen that. It's going to be a wild year, as it always is. The tight margins in Congress mean that all of those races are going to have high stakes as well. Everyone's going to be tired of hearing about it. I think a lot of us already are, but we're just getting warmed up. And it's one of those areas where, you're going to see these candidates moving around the country. They're going to want to get pictures taken with groups of, steel workers and cattle producers and longshoremen and lawyers and everybody else. Take advantage of those opportunities if you get them. There are people watching the show are going to get a chance to talk to these candidates. Make sure they don't leave those interactions without knowing what we need as an industry and what our thoughts are.
Thank you so much for all the leadership you and your team provide for all of us in the beef cattle industry. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Now remember, it's not too late for you to be here and lend your voice to the future of the beef industry. You can even purchase a one-day registration if you just want to make a brief visit to attend the DC Issues Update or Policy Committee meetings. It might be the best investment you'll make in your business all year. Get the details at the website convention.ncba.org. This one-of-a-kind can't-miss event also offers us a chance to say thanks for a job well done to Todd Wilkinson as his time as president of the National Cattlemen's Beef Association comes to a close. Todd joins us once again on Cattlemen to Cattlemen. Todd, you've had a busy year this year. I'm curious, what are you most proud of?
Probably the ability to get out and meet people across the country. There's really no better way to impact the local producer than to go to their place, go to their state. You know, we can talk on Zoom, we can do all of those things, but until you see them in the whites of their eyes, and you can hear their problems and you can understand the issues better, that really to me is why I'm an officer.
Let's talk about that. You spoke to a lot of people throughout the year. I'm curious, what are some of the insights you gained by visiting with cattlemen and women all across our country?
Well, of course, it's a little easier this year than it was 5 years ago because what I'm running into is optimism. You know, I sold our calves at almost $500 a head more this past fall than I have the previous year. And that same optimism is all across the countryside. You know, the ability to see a future for that young gal or guy, you know, so often it's tough to see, can I make this work? Is there a future for me in the cattle industry? Now there is. And you can go to the banker and you can sit down and say, hey, these are the numbers. This is what our cattle herd is. I can make a future in this. And that optimism and the enthusiasm that you hear from the young producers is just contagious.
I would absolutely agree. So what's been your message as you've traveled this country about the beef industry?
Advocacy. I mean, the ability to get them to say what their issues are, and to talk about, okay, if we're going to be in the industry, how do we put both feet into the industry and protect it? You know, whether it's issues like traceability or whether it's an issue like cell cultured goop, as I'm going to talk about it, or whether it's something as important as the checkoff and what the checkoff can do for you. All of those things. People are too afraid to talk about the positives. And we got a great message out there. And I'm just so excited when I get to share what NCBA has taught me and what the producers tell me is their big issues.
So we're just kicking off an exciting week here in Orlando at CattleCon 24. What's the value of this event to the entire beef industry, Todd?
Well, if you're going to be involved in an industry, whatever it is, you better be at the table. I mean, you know, we've all heard the old cliche about being part of the meal, but really this is where we get to make the meat and potatoes. Yeah. You're going to set the table here. You're going to go to a meeting. You're going to be able to voice what's of issue to you in Colorado or to me in South Dakota. It's those opportunities that allow us to put our issues at the forefront. And I'm so excited to see that our numbers are growing, and this convention is going to be a big one. And this is the opportunity for somebody to drive in right now. Take that opportunity, drive in, go to the meetings, and get your voice heard. You don't have to sit in the back of the room. You don't have to be an eloquent speaker. Just say, this is what's on my mind, and this is what's impacting me right here. So come on in.
That's great advice. You've been a strong advocate and a passionate believer of NCBA. Why do you think it's so important for everybody who's involved in the beef supply chain to become a member of our organization?
Well, if you're not a member, then, and if you want to just go to the coffee shop and complain, or you want to go after the sale barn and sit and talk about the issues, but really don't want to do anything, I guess that's your choice. But then don't complain to the rest of us that somehow you're doing something for your industry. Because unless you're going to put both feet into it, don't tell me you're doing something for the industry. So get in, get both feet on the ground, and take a swing.
And you've taken a lot of swings for the industry this year. We very much appreciate your leadership. Thank you so much for your service to our industry.
Hey, it has been an awesome privilege to serve this organization.
Thanks, Todd. You just heard Todd's call to action. So why don't you become a member of NCBA today? It's easy to do. Just call 866-233-3872 or visit the website ncba.org. Use the promo code C2C when you sign up and you'll receive a special gift. Still to come on Cattlemen to Cattlemen, we'll visit the cattle demonstration arena to see how the live stockmanship lessons can make a difference for you and your herd. That story when we return. Stay with us.
Cattle producers across the country work hard to care for their animals and their land. The USDA's Natural Resources Conservation Service is there to help. Find out how you can work with NRCS to develop a conservation plan for your operation. Find possible funding resources for implementing conservation practices, or get free expert advice on ways to improve your farm or ranch. Visit the website nrcs.usda.gov today.
Weeds will rob me of my investments. The weeds are not palatable to cows. They will not eat them, or if they do eat them, some of them may be toxic. So there's a return on investment by allowing there to be more grass available to be grazed by the cattle.
Welcome back. Safe and effective cattle handling can lower the risk of injury to cattle and people while improving the performance of both. Those are two things that can have a real impact on your bottom line. Let's toss it over to reporter Russell Nemitz for more.
Well, CattleCon 24 is underway here in beautiful Orlando, Florida. And each year, one of the highlights of the cattle industry convention is the huge NCBA trade show. Now, joining us is cattle handling expert Dean Fish. And it's hard to believe, Dean, but in just a little bit of time, you're going to transform this trade show area into a live cattle handling demonstration area, which over the years has become very popular with attendees.
Yeah, this is an exciting part of for attendees to come down here and learn from stockmanship experts and see the different things that we have planned. So just stuff that we have planned. We have Clint Rollerson, who's going to be with Kurt Pate on Wednesday evening during the trade show opening. And Clint is a well-renowned cattleman, cowboy poet. He's going to entertain and do some education about Florida stockmen and stockmanship and some of the things that are particular to this area. And Kurt will be out there asking them questions. And so we got an hour of those guys on horseback, which is going to be just entertaining and super, super fun. We roll into Thursday and Friday during the session. Look at your, I think the new app has it on there, but you can also look at the schedule. But we'll have about 4 sessions a day talking about different stockmanship and stewardship topics, from everything from settling wild cattle to working with family. And I believe there's an opportunity to also do a BQA training in this arena.
Well, over the years, it seems to me that more cattlemen and cattlewomen across America are wanting to learn more about stockmanship and stewardship practices, including BQA. A lot of times, what they're doing already on their farms and ranches, they don't have to, they're just honing their skills.
Yeah, absolutely. And so this is kind of a nice opportunity for producers to come and see, whether you're working on horse, whether you're working on foot, whether you use ATVs, whether you use dogs, horses, whatever that is, come and just pick up some of those different little tips. I guarantee you every single session, I've listened to these hundreds of times, right? And every single session I pick up a little piece of something that I can take back and apply and try and make my cow's lives better. It's always fun to take that home. So I encourage all producers, even if you catch part of a session or catch a couple, come by, take a look, and just listen to what these guys have to say. It's a lot of fun.
And lastly, it truly is a unique experience here at the Cattle Industry Convention and NCBA Trade Show to have a live cattle handling demonstration area where you get to see folks like you with live cattle out there in a classroom setting.
Yeah, it is. And there's a lot that goes in to make this. You can see the stands behind me. They're going to be packed all week. But, you know, we've got a 100 by 90 foot pad, which is 14 dump truck loads of dirt. We will have a semi-load of preferred steel on here. We've got some great quarter blood Brahman influenced cattle coming in from Matt Pierce and Alan Kelly. We've got some nice horses that are going to come in, and so we're going to be able to show you a Bud Bosch. We're going to show you that nice Preferred 135 sweep, and we're going to do all types of different stuff. But like I said, there's going to be so much for everybody to come and just see here, but also in the entire 9 acres of this trade show.
All right, thanks a lot, Dean. And don't take our word for it. Make plans now to join us here in Orlando, Florida for CattleCon 24, especially if you live in the southeastern part of America. Drive in, even if it's just for one day, because there is that one-day registration. Again, for all the details, including a complete schedule of events, jump online and visit convention.ncba.org.
Still ahead, we'll show you where you can go for a great steak while you're here in Orlando. That story when we return. Stay with us.
Handle feed, waste, and other materials on your operation with John Deere equipment. Weigh feed on the go with dynamic weighing. And move materials faster without spilling with the Level to Horizon feature on 6R tractors. Move and stack bales easily and clean up brush and debris with improved grapple work on 5 Series tractors. Get into tight spaces with skid steers and wheel loaders. And check calves, fences, and more with John Deere Gators. Ask your John Deere dealer to learn more.
The NCBA Trade Show has so much to offer that you could walk a lot of miles while looking over the acres of exhibitors. Afterwards, you'll likely be ready to refuel with a delicious steak. Cattlemen to Cattlemen reporter Megan Grebner shows us some places you can go when you're hungry for beef.
Just down the street from the convention center, Point Orlando is a hot spot with a variety of dining choices and entertainment all in one place.
We do a really good job of having restaurants that are from around the world. So we have British inspired right here at the pub. We have the Hampton Social. We have Maggiano's Little Italy. But then we also have Rodizio Grill, which is a Brazilian steakhouse. We have the Capitol Grill, another steakhouse. Ocean Air features different types of steaks that work out great. And then we have, of course, burgers at Main Event or JoJo's Shake Bar. So pretty much all of our places serve some form or another of beef.
It's unbelievable because people have no idea. Florida's a big beef state. Capitol Grill, in my opinion, is number one. I've been here for 16 years. And eventually when it gets to our plate, we want to ensure the best quality of that beef and make sure that beef has been handled from start to finish.
No doubt, for those looking to find a great steak, the Capitol Grill at Point Orlando is a prime contender.
When we get it in, we have our in-house butcher, so we actually sculpt the meat per order. We have a dry age room, which we go 18 to 24 days of dry age. We source out beautiful ribeyes, beef tenderloins. We also have a lot of different cuts. Dry age New York strips. We do 18 bone-in Kansas City strip loins as well. We have a variety of different cuts of meat here, so we can accommodate anybody that wants to come in here at the Capitol Grill.
When the steak has been grilled and dinner is done, you'll find Point Orlando is also a place with some outstanding nighttime entertainment options.
The Point is playtime for adults with or without the kids. We come alive at night. You come here to have a good time. You can come after work. You can come for lunch if you'd like, but we definitely have a completely different vibe once the sun goes down. Basically, every restaurant venue on our property is a nightlife spot. So you will see that they all come alive at night. Some of the later ones are going to be Hampton Social, Cuba Libre, Blue Martini. Those are probably going to be your main. Blue Martini alone stays open until about 2 a.m. Their kitchen on the weekend is open until 1 a.m. but we absolutely come alive at night.
Night or day, the trip to and from Point Orlando is quick and easy.
In addition to being so close to the convention center, we're also very close to all of the area hotels, including Rosen and Hyatt, and several others in the area. You hop in an Uber or a Lyft, take a cab, take whatever it is, you can walk over. It's probably about 10 minutes or less. Rosen is directly across the street from us.
And when you get there, no matter where you choose to gather and dine, you'll find a warm welcome for cattle producers and their families.
Well, I just want to say, CattleCon, welcome to sunny Orlando, Florida. I hope you guys have a great time down here. There's plenty of steakhouse to choose from, but if you would like to come, please come see us at Capitol Grill. We specialize in dry aged steaks, wet aged steaks, specialty cuts as well. We can take care of all your needs.
We are very excited to welcome all of the cattle producers. We're excited to have you, and we know that you'll have a great time here with all of the options we have available here in Orlando, and specifically on International Drive. We know it'll be a great place for you.
Gearing up for CattleCon 2024 in Orlando, I'm Megan Grebner with Brownfield Ag News, reporting for NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
It's with heavy hearts that we share the news that Tammy Pate lost her battle with cancer in December. We want to take a minute to recognize and honor the life and legacy of this cherished cowgirl.
Tammy Pate was born into a ranching family, and her love for the Western way of life was evident in everything she did. An accomplished horsewoman, she inspired and taught countless others in the art of horsemanship. She also founded Art of the Cowgirl, an organization that celebrates women in ranching and their contributions to the Western lifestyle, while also raising funds to support and encourage new female artisans. We had the privilege of covering her work on Cattlemen to Cattlemen, and it was easy to see the passion she had for the people and the cowgirl life. Tammy, a beloved wife, mother, grandmother, and friend, will be deeply missed by all who had the privilege of knowing her, but her legacy lives on through the art of the cowgirl and the countless lives she touched with her work and her kindness.
That certain time in the day when you can take a deep breath, knowing your work is done. That's the feeling Aspen products can create. Cost-effective alternatives to name brands that deliver the same results. Qualaxin is one of them. Use it to prevent and treat respiratory disease in your herd. Then breathe easy. Find them at Animal Health International.
Have you taken a hard look at the performance of your cow herd? More producers are turning to the proven genetics offered by Gelbvieh and Balancer females.
We like the Balancers just because they're really good mamas, they got good feet and good udders.
So the reason that we started using the Balancer genetics is to create the perfect hybrid female. To have that composite hybrid female that lasts a long time, has moderate mature status, and highly fertile.
Moderate-framed Gelbvieh and Balancer females stay in your herd longer and offer outstanding performance.
Gelbvieh and Balancer females are really known for their fertility, for their longevity, and for the ability to raise heavy weaning calf year after year.
Make the smart, sustainable, and profitable choice with Gelbvieh and Balancer females. Find out more at gelbvieh.org.
CattleCon is the premier event for the beef industry, and there's several organizations that are involved. Joining me now is Pam Griffin from Arizona, who is the president of the American National Cattlewomen. Pam, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So first of all, the American National Cattlewomen, or ANCW, has been a big part of the beef industry for many years. Can you tell us a little bit about the history?
Yes, it's 71 years. We're going into our 71st year. We are involved in so many aspects. Our three pillars are education, beef promotion, and legislation. And we are very much involved in the legislation portion and plan to make that a lot larger in the future.
That's great. You know, ANCW and NCBA, of course, have a very long partnership, and it's the support of each other that I think has really moved the beef industry forward for both of our members. You're also going to do some business while you're in Orlando. Talk about that and the officers that are coming up.
Oh, we will be installing Ruth Coffey, who is president-elect, until Tuesday. So that's always an exciting time, is seeing off our new president and president-elect and a vice president. So that's always a time of celebration for us to see the new people come on board.
Yeah. Well, Pam, thank you for all you do to support the beef industries. Where can people go to find out more information about ANCW activities?
ANCW.org. We have so many different programs going on, and our Wired program just is an amazing program. We've been written up twice in Working Ranch magazine, and we're very thankful that they have taken the time to do that for us. It's very progressive, innovative, and you can find information on that at ancw.org as well.
Pam, thank you so much for visiting with us today, and we look forward to seeing you in Orlando.
Thank you.
Now, don't forget, you can tune into Cattlemen to Cattlemen over the next several weeks for more coverage of CattleCon 24. Well, that wraps up this edition of NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen. Thanks so much for spending time with us. We'll see you again next week right here on RFD TV.